Well, good morning and welcome to a lovely morning here in Jersey. It's absolutely stunning. The sun's come up and me and Benny are just going to head out and try and flick some metals for mackerel. We're just after high tide. You can see the run is starting to piss out towards the west. We're going to climb down this cliff and we're just going to have a little bit of fun this morning. We were going to go bass fishing, but I went bass fishing last night and it was a bit quiet, so we decided against it. We'll try and get a little bit of a feed and we'll go from there. We've already seen some gannets diving in the run, which is, yeah, really good to see. It's lovely just to see a gannet as well. Lovely creatures, lovely birds. But yeah, usually when you see some gannets, there are usually bait fish in the area or mackerel. But yeah, just before we go down, it's absolutely stunning. Really is. Got a load of fishermen down there already on the rocks. But we're going to go on to this point where there's not many people around. Well, there's no one on this point at all. Have it all to ourselves. I'm going to tie a leader because I snapped off last night and I couldn't be asked to tie back on. And we'll get into it. Ben's already on his way down, so when we get down there, we'll have a little bit of fun and we'll get into it. Let's go. Got to be careful on some of these rocks, especially this time of the year. One thing to look out for though is birds. This time of the year, a lot of the big gulls are nesting on these particular rocks, so always make sure you watch out where you put your feet. Just watch out for any nesting birds because, yeah, this is their home, not ours. So yeah, just be careful. There's nothing worse than waking up a big blackwing. Anyone that fishes cliffs near the big blackwing seagulls knows, mate, they are angry birds. And this is the ledge. Got a lovely bit of run. There's a pot I spotted right out there, but we should be fine. Hopefully there are some mackerel, maybe some pollock around. Just here to have a little bit of fun. Let's go. What? A bird just went down?
Yeah, like a black thing.
What?
The black bird man just slammed right down by one of my little ones.
Did you see that on camera? It's not come back up.
I know that's
suicidal gannet or shag, whatever it was. Huh? Wow, that was, I heard it. And all I'm tying is a uni to uni. I cross them over. It's a bit windy. Bring it through the loop, come through it with the braid and pull it. Also, I double my braid just so you get that extra kind of lock with the braid on my mono. And I'm just using some 20-pound amnesia today because it's very rocky in this area. Put it tight, burn the edges. Jet lighters are the one. Did that bird come from high up?
He came from around the rock, mate, and just dived straight in. Looks like he's caught something over there, a mackie or something.
Yeah, they're into mackie. This mark's quite deep. There's just a lot of run through here, and there's some pinnacles to our right hand side where our fellow neighbours are fishing. There are quite a lot of them on that point. Put it this way, don't blame them, it's a lovely morning. But it's quite deep here. Even at low tide it's pretty deep. I fish here sometimes for pollock on the low, on the lure, but I've had congers here as well. So yeah, plenty, lots of water, lots of depth. So, and on the business end I'm just going to stick a metal. Probably go for something like so, that's going to sink to the bottom. White and silver. all I'm doing is just casting out, just letting it sink a bit, covering as much depth as possible. When we kind of find where the mackerel are, we'll stick to that kind of technique. Yes! It's a nice fish. Get it back in there. Well, that's what we kind of come for. I wanted a pollock. That's a nice one as well. They do get much bigger around here. I've had much bigger, but that gave a really good fighting account of itself. Taking on a metal. Beautiful. Just what we like to see early in the morning. Some nice heavy runs as well. Trying to keep down on the bottom. Good fishing. Nah. Pollock slime, love it. When fishing for mackerel and pollock with a metal, I like to just cover as much ground as possible. You got to think your metal can get down to the bottom pretty quick depending on the weight of it. Now I'm using a 30-gram metal and we're probably in about 60 foot of water. But because of the run of the tide, it's not going straight down, it's kind of going at an angle. Wow, that bird just picked up something off the top. So when I'm casting out, I'm just letting a bit of line off my spool, not too much. And then just keeping tight on the braid, just so there's no big bow in my line. And that way, if I get any hits on the drop, I'll be able to feel them. Now at the moment, we haven't seemed to find any mackerel yet. The guys on that rock over there, they're catching them. So there must be a school of mackerel around. So we've had a couple of pollock, Ben's had a tiddler or a fish finger, and I had a nice one, which was not too bad. And that fish hit me right down on the bottom. The mackerel can be anywhere, on the bottom, up top, mid-water, but the pollock are usually on the bottom to about mid-water, and that's about it. They'll only be right up top if they're on a big bait ball and they're feeding hard. So what I'm tend to doing is one rod, one cast on the bottom, one cast mid-water, working all the layers. And that way you'll be able to find where the fish are if the fish are coming through. We'll just crack on and fish on. Well, that's the joy to fishing these spots in the summer, catching other people's lines while they've been stuck. I thought I was into a bluefin tuna! Best catch of the day so far. We've got a load of line out of the sea and a set of feathers. At least that line's not on the bottom now. Some little fish catching on to some plastic food, but a shit ton of braid. And whoever's mackerel fishing with, 60-pound braid. Now the conventional way of catching mackerel, as everyone knows, is usually with a lead at the bottom and then what we call is a string of feathers. That's the best way to kind of load up on mackerel, especially if they're around. There's a big shoal in front of you. You can get 5 at a time. We'd class it as a full house. And you can also pick up pollock. You can pick up multiple species on feathers. Everything would take a feather. Picture that. Sorry, I'm just being rudely interrupted by a local potter. Yeah, a feather pretty much is a plastic version of a small whitebait or a small schooling fish, and when you've got 5 of them at a time being dragged through the water, it looks like, you know, a group of fish that is running away from a predator. So yeah, feathers are the way to target mackerel in numbers, but as you can probably see, the way we're targeting them this morning is by using slugs or metal jigs. 30 gram, anything kind of silver and black this time in the morning replicates kind of what that is, but maybe on a bigger proportion. These probably sink quicker. These give a little flutter running through the water, whereas you can fish these kind of as you want. Drag them, drop, drag them, drop, like the locals do. This more of like a on the drop and retrieve, maybe a straight wind, really depending on what you're fishing for. Mate, his pots are so close, but hey ho, he's making a living. So yeah, conventional way is using a feather. Our way is using a slug. With a slug, you can kind of fish really tight to the bottom without, you know, thinking that you're going to get 5 hooks caught up on the reef and then you lose it, like this person has done. They've lost these and about 200 yards of 60-pound braid, which I don't understand why you'd be using that for mackerelling, but who cares. Right, let's get back into it. Right, Ben's made a move, so I've just shifted along. We're a few hours now after the tide moving out. We're pretty low. And we're just hunting around for some more summer species. It's a really good chance now that the tide's moved down and just stopped off a bit of a good pollock. Also, we might get a mackerel, which we haven't had yet, but even though the guys on the rock next to us were getting them, they must have been just holding in a part of the run. But we're just going to fish on. You can probably see the way that I'm jigging, just letting it drop, wind, and just lift, letting that metal just flutter in the tide just above the reef. And hopefully something's home. Like so. Yes! Nice bit of fight on this one. And there we have it. This one fell to a seeker. Not as big as the last one, but gave a little good account of itself. Taken on the drop. Just great fun. When the water starts to warm up and these move in, they give you some great sport. when the pollock aren't biting, you get some beautiful red wrasse like that. Another beautiful summer species. Look at the colours on him, absolutely stunning. Well, that was very lucky. Very, very lucky. Somehow I got my camera back from down below. I had to jump in, and would have been an expensive trip. Very expensive. But that's fishing. Oh, I just don't know what to say. Anyway, summer fishing. The water is starting to warm up. The fish are starting to move in. Wrasse, pollock, mackerel, snipe. You name it, they'll be moving in now after the bait shoals. I know on our neighbouring island in Guernsey, they're having some much better summer species fun at the moment. So it's coming. It's slowly warming up and coming. But just remember, if you want to target mackerel, hit the feathers. If you want them in numbers, hit the feathers. But if you want some fun, just get a metal on, 30 gram, 25 gram, 20 gram, whack it out, cover all the bases, water layer, depth. Yeah, just cover everything and enjoy your fishing, because that's what summer fishing's about. Fishing with friends, big smiles, happy, laughs, enjoy the time on the rocks, but most of all, be safe. And you don't want to end up in a drink like I just did. Anyway, tight lines, cast till you catch, fish hard.